not as he says, we are supposed to use honor, sincerity, and purity in our new activities, and especially in singing the new song. What exactly does this mean? Yeah, Dwayne.
Do they have dictionaries in Africa? You could start.
Yes.
You could start there. They have online dictionaries too. Okay. I would say start there. But briefly, I will say purity. Okay, that's a particular. Okay, the purity is a particular. Of course, we're not going to try to be pure here. That's not the idea. The purity idea in reality is that's a relationship between you and the isness. That becomes a real love affair. That's a particular. But the sincerity and the honor, the intent, etc., that's where you step up. You be sincere with what you're doing. You do it honorably, okay, etc., the best you can. And nothing's perfect here. Sometimes you got to be a little creative and sneaky, clever, whatever. Yeah, that happens too, okay. So sometimes you need a paper towel from the restroom. Well, you take it, okay, whatever. But I would say that again, look in the dictionary to start off there. Start off somewhere. Sometimes I do that too. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dwayne. I think I have got the right. If we want to look at this word, these qualities in a literal form, and within the context of this word, they are misplaced, and they seem to bind the new student. So this explanation you've given, in fact, is very refreshing. He wants to. He's talking about this incongruity uh, in the in the in the in the dream process in the on the real side. He says uh, there are many instances where you can be having a dream about somebody, uh, and then at the same time the person is having his or her own real side experience, which does not coincide, which does not uh, link up with uh, uh, with his own real side experience. So there's a variance in the dream experiences. They don't correspond. So what is the cause of this? That you can be having a dream experience about somebody or with somebody, and is having a contrary experience. So it doesn't understand why is it like that?
Okay, so in other words, what you're asking is, let's go over this. So in other words, he has somebody he knows, or himself, or what he's going through, or somebody he knows, and he has a particular relationship or understanding in his personal self here. But on the real side, all of a sudden, it appears differently. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or that person will have uh, a real side experience that is at variance with his own. It They are not harmonious experiences. He expects that maybe if he's having an experience, a real side experience with about somebody, because uh, he expects that the other person should have the same real side experience that corresponds, that corroborates his real side experience. But then there is this variance. So he doesn't understand the reason for this.
Okay, it's very simple. And that is that I'm sure that you and others have read where people have experiences like, all of a sudden they'll go to sleep, they'll have a dream about, their husband coming home from work and saying, "Hey, let's go to the movies." Okay, as an example, and it comes out exactly like that. Okay, so then the husband comes home and it says, "Well, let's go to the movies." Well, that's a one-dimensional experience. Okay, that coincides one-in-one with the personal self. Now, when you're on the real side, as you're broadening your view and becoming more aware, now what life is showing you and what the boys will show you is that they're going to start to show you what else there is besides what you've been self-convinced about. You see? And this is where you have to be ready for the variables. Just like a soldier. Yes, a soldier like Chris went through boot camp. They taught him all this stuff. And so to this and that and whatever, and maneuvers and tactics and what have you. But when he goes out there on the field, it's very seldom like that. He has to expand upon what he's learned. There's variables that come, and there's things that come that you don't even expect. And so now you're in the bigger part of life. You see, if we were just in a one-dimensional program, like so many of these psychic paths are in religion, then it would come out accordingly. In religion or the corporation, to where they don't even want to hear about the real side experiences hardly, because they want it all to come out just like it does in the physical. And so many of them have dream experiences that verify their physical convictions. Yeah, those are nice to have those sometimes, but realistically, it's not always like that. And so Kelsey, as an example, yesterday she shared, the New You Dream Course is basically 2 pages. Well, on the real side, it was 22 or 23 pages. You see, it's not the same. There's more to it. And so what is happening is pay attention. There's more to it than what we're self-convinced about here, Charles. Does that kind of answer it?
The next, Patrick's real side experience after singing the new song, he finds himself on another life level, and then he observes his body. He sees his body, and on his back, let me just go straight. There are so many tap lines on his back, and then there is a guide. There's a guide who is busily taking out those tap lines, dismantling them. Then at the same time, there is some Christian music. There's some popular Congolese Christian music playing in the background, while the real guide is pulling off these tap lines from his back. So that is his experience in a nutshell.
Okay, so he's probably wondering about the music, right?
Yeah, maybe want to think about. Yeah, I don't know. So this music, why should Christian music be playing in the background?
Well, it's nice to have music while your tap lines are pulled out, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they play music when I used to get massage therapy. They were playing music. They weren't doing the new you. They were playing some kind of some kind of relaxing music. So, but I'm just kidding. Uh, it's because the music is an influence and it's part of the experience. So it's demonstrating that. Remember, the dream is demonstrating something. So it's not like the boys are playing music for you, okay? Because is music natural? Well, it is in creation in its own way, but realistically, it's usually produced. And if he recognizes it as Christian music, what does that tell you? There's a religious overtone there somewhere that's influencing him. It's also, tied to the tap lining.
This is the question Mukuna is asking on behalf of a new friend who read in Notebook 5 that during the second initiation in Ekanka, your astral body, the astral body of the initiate, is taken and and confided and given to a sorcerer or a magician who keeps it so that you can be under control and manipulation. So he wants to know whether the astral bodies of new friends have have been have been uh, uh, have been taken back from the sorcerer, the astral plane, or the astral bodies are still there, or the new man has saved those astral bodies. Yeah, Dwayne.
Okay, well, this is a fun one. So just think of it like here, if you were, you did something and you went to jail. Okay, so now we got to figure out how to get you out of jail, right? So it's kind of like that in the astral realm too. It's the same basic idea, and that is that you've done certain things, you've agreed to certain things, you've agreed to be kidnapped and captured by the corporation. You've agreed to that. And just like people join the mafia or the one world order, they've agreed to it. And you just can't quit. They're not going to let you quit. Okay, once you've agreed to it, and witchcraft and whatever, and like in Africa, you got voodoo and all that all over. Hey, once you join the ceremony, they're not going to let you just walk away, are they? So you've got to figure out, okay, now you got to be the real risk taker. You got to figure out how to get the heck out of there, don't you? So, uh, this is where the real guides, work with the individual with what they've agreed to. I've seen people, I've known many people that have been in black magic in their past lives, especially, and they want to get away from it, but it still is haunting them. It is still hanging on to them during this lifetime, and the same people are still trying to keep them there, etc. And again, this is where Harry and Joni, especially, and her band of witches and the Reeses and whatever, they try to keep people convinced to keep agreeing. They try and scare them into agreeing, and they use the initiations as an idea, the fake initiations, as an idea to keep them there. So you have to be very real with this. In other words, like the Jesus idea of Jesus, you just believe in Jesus and it saves you. You have to be very real with this. So if you're in jail here, you may need to hire a lawyer, whatever, to get out of jail. You may have to do certain things. You got to figure it out. So if it's in the astral realm or the causal and mental, whatever, yeah, you at some point the individual has agreed to be captured and controlled, and now they got to figure out how to get out of it. So the boys are there, but you still got to, again, if you're in prison here and someone's kidnapped you, yeah, the guidance is there, but you still got to figure out how to get out. If you're in a vehicle and you got to jump from the van and you're tied up and you got to untie yourself, well, there's certain things that you have to do too. So it works both ways. So, the boys, Rebazar and the boys, etc., myself on the real side here, whatever, we're guides, just like your teacher, just like you're the teacher in school, Charles. But you can't do the homework for the child. You can't walk him home. You can't feed him. You can't be there all the time for him, even with the guidance. And so that's where the person has to really decide within themselves. And you see, on the astral and into the causal and mental worlds, things move by thought. Here, we have physical obstacles. It's different. But in the astral realm and whatever, he can walk through the walls. You see, he could just walk through the walls because he gives up his agreement. Here, it's more difficult. When you're in prison, yeah, you want to get out, but you have a physical body and you have physical walls and barriers, so it's different. So you've got to figure a different way. Okay, you can't always just escape and run. It's different. But in the astral realm, you can go through, you can just decide to leave and give up that agreement, and you can go right through the walls and you can fly away. So yeah, you can escape, but you must decide to do it, not sit there and just wait for someone to save you, but just simply decide to do it, and voila, you escape. You see? How's that?